For section 4.9, we're going to touch on a few things that we've covered before, and this is really specifically looking at the dual task of exercise and heat stress. So the first thing is the redistribution of blood flow under heat stress. As we've talked about, the core temperature rises, the body has to prioritize cooling, and therefore more blood is going to get redirected to the skin for heat dissipation. That means blood is going away from the visceral and cerebral regions so that it can go to the peripheral regions of the skin and then also initiate sweating and sympathetic drive. But that does come at a cost. Less venous return to the heart, less blood going to the brain, heart rate must increase, and if it can't be sustained, performance will decline. So specifically for cardiovascular responses, this chart shows some of the ones that we can look at. So we can see when exercising in the heat, and this chart is just passive heat stress. This doesn't even factor in exercise. You will see cardiac output will increase. Blood flow to the cutaneous vasculature will increase significantly. And then what's interesting is that while blood flow increases to the head, cerebral blood flow actually decreases. And that goes along with the visceral organs that will also decrease. So blood flow, overall cardiac output increases, but there's less going to the critical organs and it's more going to the skin, the peripheral regions to prioritize cooling. So when you now combine dynamic exercise and a hot environment, so we see the core body temperature going up on the right, and then you see dynamic exercise in red versus just at rest in that same hot environment or that same core temperature. So you can imagine that being passive heat stress like a sauna in rest. What you see is the amount of skin blood flow percentage of maximal change. So when you put dynamic exercise with heat stress, that cardiac output is shared by competing needs. So there is less peripheral blood flow now during exercise than just passive heat stress because you have to be able to sustain the exercise. The threshold temperature is now increased, so as we see in point B. Then the maximal blood flow that can go to the skin is capped off. So that's what you see at point C, and that's roughly 60%. So really what you're seeing is under exercise, not only is exercise performance limited by the necessity to send blood to the skin to cool, but the ability for the body to actually cool itself down and the ability to send blood to the skin is also reduced. So both of them suffer. And this ends up being a feedback loop that just leads to further and further strain and thermal stress. So dynamic exercise in the heat is really not sustainable. And at this point in time, if you have to do that, cooling mechanisms and enhancing cooling to the best degree possible is absolutely essential.